What's up guys, welcome to new Unreal Engine 5 tutorial. Today I am going to show you how to create an FPS shooter in literally a couple of minutes. It's going to be a very easy to follow, so let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we will need to kickstart our project will be this free FPS template from Fab. This free asset will contain everything that we need to start making our game, as it will contain an FPS movement with weapons that we can shoot, with jumping, running, crouching, and everything that we need, even with aiming and chaos destruction. So just go ahead and add this into your Epic Games library, and let's go to the Epic Games launcher. Just make sure that you restart or reload the Fab library icon over here, search it up, and then just click on create project. Let's go ahead and put in a name, select a folder, and then the Unreal version. And for the Unreal version, let's go ahead and select the latest one, which is 5.6. and then you hit create, and then after a couple of seconds the template will be installed as a new project that we can go ahead and open up. And here it is, FPS Gaming Mins. Let's go ahead and open this up, and here we have the brand new project. So we go ahead and press play. We can go ahead and move around, aim, shoot, and have chaos physics, which is really cool. Shoot at the guys too, and they will ragdoll, move around, sprint, and then also crouch, jump, and reload, which is everything that we need. But don't worry, because we will be customizing the bullets so they're not so big, and then also a bit of the speeds, because right now it's a bit too fast in my opinion. And also, last but not least, obviously adding an environment that we can actually, play with. So let's go ahead and do all this stuff. So in the content browser, as you can see, we have the main folder with the FPS template, and on here we have everything. So under core is where we have the main blueprints and access to everything. And as you can see, we have a bullet over here. So what we're gonna be doing is just right click on this bullet and just create a child blueprint class and name this bullet 2. As simple as that, honestly. Open this up and let's literally make it way smaller, okay? Because this is a bit too big in my opinion. So click the lock over here and make it like 0.1. And then also change this to be a darker one. For example, this C4D reference. And now we have more of a bullet, okay, which is nicer. But obviously right now we are not using this bullet right now, because we have to change it where it is actually spawned. So we right click on the FPS bullet. We can go to the reference viewer. And this reference viewer gives us an overview on where this is being called right now. And as you can see, it is being called from the BP character. So double click on BP character and then Control B, and now we can open this up. So the reference viewer, as you can see, is very handy to seeing where things are, referenced from, and where we can change stuff. Okay, perfect. So now it is time to actually see where we go ahead and spawn the bullet. So we can just do Control F, bullet, and I obviously spell it wrong. There we go. We got the spawn actor bullet. So instead of calling this bullet, we just need to change it to be bullet 2, and that's it. We can go ahead and compile and save, and everything will work because this output is a child of the original bullet, so all the references are not broken. So now we go ahead and press play, and you will see that we have the new bullets, which are these ones over here. But obviously they're way smaller, so the impact for chaos is a bit different, but it is exactly what we wanted, because we mainly want to shoot the enemy AIs, not the chaos physics. So obviously you can still make it a bit bigger. You can make it even a bit more invisible. There's a lot of things that you could go ahead and do. You could even destroy on the impact, which is another handy thing. So for example, let's put this 2.3, so it's just a bit bigger, but we're gonna go to the event graph, and we're gonna go on the hit. So on the event hit, and on the event hit, let's go ahead and do a delay until next tick, so all the ragdolls and everything work. But then we'll go ahead and destroy this actor, and if we do this, we have now actually chaos physics and everything, but the bullets are not flying everywhere. And we are also more precise because the bullet is a bit smaller. If you want to change the bullet size, you can just go here and also put it to be even bigger, so then you have more, you know, chaos or whatever you need. So there we go. Now we have an actual functional bullet, which is a bit better. Now let's go ahead and also change the movement because it's a bit too quick. So for the player character, let's go to the character movement component, and you can see here the Mac walk speed. This is actual movement. So this is a bit, you know, too quick. Let's go with something as 400. And when we do 400, you will see that it's a bit better for walking. Now for running, it is still too big. And I see when we release the running sprint key, we go back to the default, well, not to the default speed. So let's go ahead and change this. So you just go over here, Control F, and it should be something about sprint or run. Okay, so they use run, and we can see the stop running or the start running and everything. So first of all, for the running speed, we're gonna have something as 500 or 500 and, or yeah, actually 600. Okay, that's a good length. But then if you go to stop running, you can see that we go back to the walk speed, and the walk speed isn't 600 anymore, it is 400. So now we can go ahead and walk, run a bit nicer, and then walk again. It's just way better. Like I like crouching too, which is really cool. Perfect. So now we have everything customized to actually start creating the map and the environment. So let's go for it. And for the environment, we'll be using this spaceship interior environment set. Again, it is completely free on Fab. I will link everything on the description, and this will be our map. It is pretty cool, it is really high quality, and it's easy to add into our project. So just go ahead and add this into your Epic Games launcher. Then on the Epic Games launcher, just restart it or click this icon to refresh it, and then add this into our project. You might need to click on show all projects because our actual project is in a different version, which is 5.6. But don't worry, you select this, and then over here select the latest compatible version, which is let me see, 5.4. It's a bit mixed, I don't know why it's this on the middle, but yeah, it is 5.4. So add to project, and don't worry because all of the assets will be automatically compatible. And perfect. So now we go back into Unreal Engine, we have a new folder for our spaceship interior, which is really cool. So we go to maps, we have a couple of maps. Let's open up demonstration, where we have an actual environment build that we can use right away. So close this over here, and here we go. We have a really cool environment. We press G, we hide all the widgets. We can go here, move around, and yeah, it is pretty cool. So if we go ahead and press play, we spawn, and we can instantly go ahead and move around the ship. And I don't know what you guys think, but I think that this is so cool. There's a couple modifications that I can do to the lighting so it looks a bit better, but other than that, I think it's a solid environment that we can use straight away. So let's go ahead and just quickly update this lighting over here. So for this, first of all, let's go to the world settings. If you don't see the world settings, you go to window and world settings, and make sure that the default game mode is the FPS, so we always spawn with our FPS character. Now other than that, I believe that there's no player starts. Exactly, so we need to add some player starts. So to go up here into the quickly add to the price section, go to all, and then over here search for player start and drag one over here. Now press G again so we see the UI again, and then just rotate this over here. Press end on your keyboard so it snaps to the ground. It's a little keybind trick, and now we spawn actually in here. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and again modify a bit the lighting. So to do this, first of all, I think that we haven't got volumetric fog on. Enable this will just create a more realistic volumetric fog, which is very important. And then let's search for the post-process volume. The post-process volume is what adds all the effects, and it's pretty solid, but there's some things that we can kind of, you know, improve. First of all, let's go to the exposure, and we can change the compensation. You can make it brighter or darker. I think 1.5 will be pretty good. It is similar to what we had. The chromatic aberration, I think, is this, you know, borders is a bit too big, so I'm gonna just completely disable it. I'm not a fan of it right now. Then we got some more settings like the lens flare. I actually like some lens flare but more of a lower density. So let's put this up, and we got some image effects like the vignette. This is pretty good, but I think it's too much, so maybe like 0.3 maybe is a better value. It was honestly a bit too much. And we got the color grading, so changing the temperature, that's pretty good. And then we got some more for, okay, that's pretty much it. Yep. And that's pretty much the overall part. Okay, so now I believe it looks a bit nicer, but obviously you can go ahead and play around with everything to get exactly what you want. But now that we have this part over here, it is time to actually bring some cool enemies into the mix, because otherwise it will be, you know, just a bit too boring, you know. So we are literally gonna create an enemy AI in 2 seconds. All right, so for this, let's do like a little speed run. So I'm gonna just go here, right click, and create a new blueprint class. It's gonna be a character, and this will be the AI. So over here for the AI, I'm gonna go to the mesh and add just a default mannequin. So let's do mani simple. Let's put this on -89 and -90, so it's on the correct position. But first, if you are serious about learning and making your first game in Unreal Engine 5, join my Unreal Club. Inside, you will be able to download entire project files from my tutorials, enter private meetings and webinars with industry experts, access exclusive ebooks packed with the best tricks, get powerful asset frameworks to speed up your blueprints, and much more. The link is in the description. With that said, let's continue with the video. And now with that said, let's go to the event graph and let's delete everything except the begin play, and let's right click and add a new custom event. Okay, this will be the actual movement for the AI. So this will be AI move to player, or just chase player. I think it's a bit better. So then we can use this AI move to node, and this AI move to node says, okay, which pawn will be moving? Well, ourselves, the AI, and then the actor will be the get player character, which will always be the character. Perfect. The acceptance rate is how close it will get. Let's increase this to 120, and then on success or on fail we do one thing. In this case it will be the attack. Okay, so for the attack it will be a simple sphere trace by channel, and this will start in the get actor location. So this sphere trace is essentially like an invisible sphere that will go from point A to point B. It will start in the actual location but end in a different location, and this different location will be the get actor forward vector times it by a value, and just right click on the second pin and convert this to a float, and this will be the distance, how far it will go forwards. Okay, so you know their push or whatever, and this will be like maybe 50. So then we can just get this and add the two vectors together to get the direction, and this will result in the end point. And then for the radius is how kind of big the sphere will be. Let's do 35 for now, and then for the draw type, let's do for duration to visualize it. So then we get a out hit. So if we actually hit something, we can get this and we can break it, and we have all the information about, you know, what the enemy AI hit it. Well, in this case we want to get a hit actor, which is the player in this case, and let's do an apply damage. In this apply damage, we'll just apply damage to our player, and we can do like, you know, 10 or whatever you want. I don't know what value you want to have, but there we go. That's fully customizable. Now on fail, what we would do is just, well, again, try to do the chase player. It will just be a loop, okay? And to be able to start this loop, let's just go to the viewport and add a new component, and this will be the pawn sensing. The pawn sensing component enables our enemy AI to sense players, and we can change the visual angle to be a bit smaller or whatever you want. You scroll down to the bottom, and on the on-see pawn, just do chase player, and we will start the loop. And actually we don't need anything on fail, because this will always be looping, so yeah, we don't need to do any looping or anything. It will just work. But obviously we want to trigger one thing, which is to only be able to attack once every so, you know, couple of seconds. But we don't have the animation yet, so let's wait just 2 seconds for this. All right, perfect. So now if I go ahead and drag this AI into the level over here, we need to add a component to a level, which is the volumes, nav mesh bounce volume. The nav mesh bounce volume is what enables the AIs to move around, because it basically calculates all the possible paths the AI can go to. So on the scale, we put this to like 50, it will fill up everything, and we press P on our keyboard, we can visualize where the AI can go, which is pretty cool. So now if I press play and I go towards my AI, he's there, he doesn't see me, but now he sees me, and then he starts to chase me, and when he gets close, as you can see, he does this little trace to attack, which is pretty cool. But obviously he's very dumb and he looks very awful because he doesn't have any, you know, kind of movement animations. So let's go to character movement and scroll down to the bottom and simply go ahead and enable the use controller decide rotation. Go to class defaults, search for yaw, and disable the use controller rotation yaw. And then with that said, let's also go to the character movement component and go to the max walk speed, which is the velocity that he moves on. And let's put like 350, so he goes a bit slower than the player by default. And with that said, here we just go ahead and kind of work a bit nicely. But I also want to go ahead and just test this, see if it's a bit better. And I think that it is indeed a bit better. As you can see, he doesn't hit the player yet because we need to do one extra stuff, which is to increase this to be like 80, so he reaches a bit further on the trace. And this is the trace that I was talking about, that sphere. Okay, so perfect. Let's quickly just give some locomotion to our AI. So let's right click over here, just go to the animation tab and scroll down to legacy and create a blank space 1D, and then you search for the mannequin, which I think that is this one. I don't know why it's different. Let's just double check. So let me go here and let me go to the, yeah, okay, so it's scale UE5 mannequin. Okay, perfect. So this asset basically modified the base skeleton, if that makes sense. So once again, legacy, blank space 1D, UE5 mannequin, and just call this the AI, but do BS at the start. So blank space, and the blank space will allow us to transition from one animation, which will be the idling, to the walking animation, which will be the other animation, depending on a value, which will be the speed. So by default, the speed will be 0, but maximum for 50, which is what we said. Well, actually, it was 350, I think. Now do snap to grid, and then simply find the idle animation. The idle will be idle. Put this on the left. But now for the walk, we just need the walk. It will be walk forward. Put this on the right. So now we hold control, the left control, and move the mouse. You can see as the speed increases, we transition from idling to walking, which is exactly what we want. Now last but not least, let's right click again and create an animation blueprint to add into our AI. So let's go ahead and find once again the mannequin for UE5, create ABP underscore AI. Open this up. Perfect. With that said, let's do it very simple. Just get the BS AI that we just created and add a default slot. The default slot will enable us to play animation montages like the attack animation bit later, and then also for the speed, right click and do promote to variable, and this will be the speed. Perfect. So obviously the speed has to increase during the gameplay. So on the event graph, we can introduce our code. So we can just get the owner, which is the AI blueprint, and do get velocity to get actually the movement. And then we can just do a vector length, because right now it's a vector, to convert it into a nice float. And this will be our new speed. So just do set speed with the variable that we created earlier, and that's it. It will simply work. So now if we go back to the AI blueprint, we can go to the viewport, to the mesh, and to the enemy class, and we can add the ABP AI. And you'll see that when we press play and the AI sees us, he will actually move, as you can see, which is really cool. But obviously he doesn't die because there's no damage into this AI right now. So we go real quick to the FPS template and we go to core. We can see the AI that they had, which was the simple one. And as you can see on the any damage, they simply just, you know, disabled enabled the physics. So let's do exactly the same thing. Just copy these 3 nodes, select our AI in the level, open this up. Make sure, obviously, because they're named the same, that you opened our AI, not theirs. And then go to event graph and just paste this in. And what we're going to do is just replace this mesh with the skeleton mesh. Just put it over. And then on the mesh, very important, select this. Go to the details panel, scroll down to the bottom. So see our collision settings. And then expand this. Click on custom. And then on the collision enabled, click on collision enabled querying physics. Okay, perfect. So now when we actually go here and shoot our enemy AI, he ragdolls and dies. But also we want to go here and get the character movement component and disable the movement so he cannot, you know, walk anymore. Perfect. Now I don't know we have any attack animations. If we search, yeah, we seem to not have any, you know, attack animations. We just have for the assault rifle and, you know, things like this. So we need a quick attack animation to do this. So for the quick attack animation, just go up into window and open Fab. And yes, we can open Fab through Unreal Engine, which is quite cool. And over here, just search for Ramster, and specifically just add a set at the end, and you will see this Ramster Z free animations. Click on Add to Project to add this into our project, and then select the latest version, which is 5.5, Add to Project. And then this animations pack, which is completely free once again, will be added into our project. Perfect. So now we can go ahead and close Fab, and we have the Ramster animations and we have the animation sequence. If you go to two hands, you can see that we got like a kick and like a punch. So there's different stuff that we can use. There's like combos, which is quite cool. So let's use, for example, this combo, but I'm gonna make it a bit, you know, short because it's a bit too long. So let me duplicate this and just do attack, open this up, and then I want to do maybe 2 hits, and right over here I'm gonna right click and do remove frames in range 24 to 70, and then we only have the first 2 attacks. Then just right click and convert this into an anime montage. So create anime montage, and then this anime montage we can actually go ahead and call it over here. So back in the AI, we can just go into the on success here, and let's just do some space and do play montage, and this will be montage. Just click here the arrow to add it. The mesh will be this one over here, and then on the notify begin, just put that here, and we will execute the code. And what is the notify begin? Well, it's a little event that we can add on the montage. So go here, and when we have the first punch, just add this over here. So add notify montage, copy this, and on the second one we will click here and then paste and maybe move it again. And now we have 2 triggers to put all these feature trees. And then we need one last thing, which is a boolean to can attack question mark. So compile, this will be true by default, but then as soon as we start attacking, we will set it to false. But when we finish attacking, so on interrupted or on completed, we will set it back to true so we can continue to attack. And then right before we do any of the attacks, just go ahead and add a branch and then do, oh, can we actually attack? That way we will not do like a little spam of attacks. So now we go here, he's actually there, and he will come and actually attack me, as you can see, which is really cool. And he does the trace and everything like that. I can shoot him, and that's it. We can literally just go ahead and start to add some more enemy AIs and everything. But we need one very last thing, which is the character. Trust me, this is gonna be the last thing. And for our character, we're gonna be using this survival character. It is completely free on Fab. Once again, I will link it in the description. Just go ahead and add this into your Epic Games library, and then on the Epic Games launcher, you just reload this or restart, search it up, and then add this into the project. Once again, you might need to click on show all projects, select this, and select the latest compatible version, which in this case is 5.5. Click add to project, and then after a couple of seconds, boom, we will see that we have a new folder for the survival character in our project. And if we go to meshes and open this up, it looks really cool. So now we just have to change these characters from these ones in the AI. So select our AI, do Ctrl E to open this up, go to the viewport, and then we go to mesh and change this to be the survival character, which is up here. We can select this, compile, and press play, and you can see that we can go to the survival characters, and they're here walking, and they will punch us, and we can murder them. And there we go, we start to have a really fun game. Obviously you need to have a bit of a better, you know, map going on, and they should be able to be a bit faster and some other stuff, but you get the idea. That is the main thing. Is go to the trace and also set this to none. So that's it guys, if you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to my channel. I have over 800 tutorials, so go ahead and check that out. And also, if you want to actually learn how to make games in Unreal, join my Unreal Club, the link is in the description. And now yes, with all that said, bye bye.